And that's something from when I was, in my early to mid 20s. And, it's a kind of a typical story, and, it was a Christian girl. And I was like, you made a mistake. You're trying to learn from your lesson. Oh, I'm sorry. You're trying to learn something from your life experiences, and we were going to church and stuff and stuff like that, and we kind of embraced her son. That's how my family does. And, the long and the short of it was, she got knocked up by her baby daddy.
Oh my God!
While we were dating.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another YouTube collaboration. And yes, I do got the same sort of on. I'm a dusty nigga, but don't be mad. Your girl still want me. Check out the first comment pinned to the top. All my information's there. Subscribe, hit the bell. And let me just do this. Stop the show. Give yourself a round of applause for giving us your time today. Like Jay-Z said, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. And we got a great guest. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Go ahead, brother. Let people know who you are.
Yeah, my YouTube name is Dr. Thunder. I'm Dr. Sean Thunder Wallace. That's a nickname that my dad gave me when I was a kid. I am the director of jazz studies at Ohio State University. You can find me all over social media, Dr. Thunder Music, just spell it out. And I'm an academic. I'm a father, husband, all of that good stuff. And thanks for having me on your show, O'Shea.
All right. So outside of being, a newer podcaster in this space, PhD, jazz musician extraordinaire, your father, minister of music. I mean, it's a lot more accolades. I'm just a nigga that talk a lot of, but you seem to have a lot more going than me. How did you even get involved in this red pill manosphere sort of space in the beginning, in the first place?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think my journey starts, as a lot of us, many, many years ago, before there was a place where you could have these kinds of conversations, before there was a community of men discussing things that are no longer within the accepted topics. They're outside of the Overton window. Stuff like, relationships with women, bad experiences, sort of cliche kinds of experiences. So my journey started probably in my early 20s. And then it wasn't until, I'd say, maybe a couple years ago that I actually even became aware that there was actually a community that was not being canceled for talking on certain topics, kind of barbershop. It's like the online version of the barbershop kind of conversation. These days, the barbershop, there's a beauty salon usually connected to the barbershop. So a lot of the kind of conversations that would have taken place, those are not the kind of conversations that take place anymore. And so, yeah, I mean, I was watching a lot of Jordan Peterson on YouTube, and then that started to suggest to me this movie, The Red Pill by Cassie J.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, I watched that, and then Paul Elam, and I started watching these videos by a woman named Janice Fiamingo.
Okay.
And then from there, the algorithm started getting clever and suggested to me Solo TV 84. And when I first heard Solo TV 84, I was like, oh, are you allowed to say that? Can you, is it okay to say that? And I kept hearing, over and over, I kept hearing this, Right. I'm hearing this all the time. I was like, what is this? What's going on? It's like an anime sort of logo all the time. I was like, what's up with this? And then he's a very diverse content creator. So I was very interested in a lot of stuff that he was saying. And then because I was watching that, then folks like Donovan Sharp, folks like Kevin Samuels, yourself, I started watching the Six, the Seven, the Six, the Seven. It's changed a couple times on Donovan's channel, and then really got into Kevin Samuels. And Kevin is an interesting figure because he's pro-marriage,
right?
And that's a minority position in the space. And then also content creators like the Roommates, and even with Solomon Jones, there is this, he will talk on these sort of spiritual topics. And I know that you're a Christian, Kevin Samuels is, and a number of folks in the space. And then I just became really interested in this sort of connection between the Black church and the Black manosphere. And of course, we've done a couple streams on your channel to that effect. I got connected with you by our mutual friend, Ike Ogiamian. I've got a show with him every other Tuesday. We just had one last night, actually. And so that's kind of getting us up to speed.
Okay. So now, outside of being a PhD yourself and jazz musician extraordinaire, you've also been able to relate to this whole idea of simping or being a candidate for stepdaddyism, right? And that's the thing. And let me just say this. I think many times, Black men such as yourself, T. Sean Johnson, the Dennis Sperlings, the lead attorney, guys like that who have done either PhDs. And once you reach that level, it's almost assumed that, these guys that have these levels of education are these qualifications and achievements, they don't have any experience with, simping like the normal guys do. But because you can relate to it and you have a younger son. But let's talk about your own situation before you became a PhD. You almost became a stepfather at one point, right?
Well, it might not have been that close. I mean, when I was
don't lie.
It wasn't that close, but I mean, I dated someone. I have a series of videos on my YouTube channel called Blue Pill Testimonials, and the very first one is called Baby Mama Drama. And that's something from when I was, in my early to mid 20s. And, it's a kind of a typical story, and, it was a Christian girl. And I was like, well, you made a mistake. You're trying to learn from your lesson. Oh, I'm sorry. You're trying to learn something from your life experiences, and we were going to church and stuff like that, and we kind of embraced her son. That's how my family does. And, the long and the short of it was, she got knocked up by her baby daddy while we were dating. So that was obviously a unceremonious ending.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, can I go there? I mean, I know you're a PhD and everything like that, but would you hold on a second? Stop the booty clapping sounds. Was you getting it too at the same time? I mean, or would you wait until marriage?
Yeah, I mean, I was not getting
it. I'm sorry. I'll be unprofessional. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna
say. Yeah, no, I was not getting any. And frankly, at that point, I was trying to uphold a certain standard and everything. And I thought that she was too, and that's why, at least at that point in my life, it somehow made sense because it was not really a threat. of any, stuff going down or anything. But obviously it didn't matter. One thing that was happening at one point in our relationship is, when I would try to talk to her about her, her child's father, she never wanted to talk about him. And I would bring certain things up, and then later, sort of, in my own thoughts, thinking about it, I realized that the reason that she didn't want to talk about him is because she was having a hard time not thinking about him.
So that's a good point, because hold on one second. Let's kind of go back into this, Doc. Because you're gonna help some niggas out today. You're gonna be, now unfortunately it's at your behest. But let me but what kind of questions? Give us an example for all your future subscribers out there. What kind of questions were you asking her that she was avoiding?
Well, I mean, I would just say stuff like, how often, is your son seeing his father? Those kind of questions, or is he as involved as you want him to be? I was asking stuff like, because sometimes she was giving me certain signals that I wasn't sure about, and I would be like, "Are you sure that you're not still into this dude?"
Wait, what are the signals? What do you mean? Can you talk about those?
Well, I mean, I wasn't as up on game as I am now. but back then,
it's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. I know you was.
Yeah, it wasn't that funny. It's just, you get a certain kind of feeling. You kind of get it's like, yeah, something's just not quite right. And I couldn't even tell you exactly what it was that caused me to ask questions. But, we had a pretty open, we could pretty much talk about whatever. And so, I didn't see it as a big deal to ask. And since we weren't doing anything, I was like, what's the risk? Why does it matter? So
let me ask you this. Did she ever, hold on a second. Tati, you need some dating music. I mean, some romantic music right now. We're gonna make it fun. Doc, did she ever try to, did she ever try to eat ass, like, try to, No. Okay. Where you from originally? Where are you from?
I grew up in Michigan.
Okay. So you're a Midwest guy. Detroit, or?
Oh, I spent a lot of time in Detroit, and then also, I mean, all over Michigan. I actually had some when I moved back to Columbus, because I was born in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And my dad's job moved us when I was 5. So I grew up in the country, and my parents live in a dirt road that I grew up in that house. It's still a dirt road. It's like that. We had horses, 4-wheelers, go-karts, all kinds of stuff. Not the
y'all was rich then, because
well, not rich.
We had the grocery carts we stole from the grocery store, and that was we didn't have no go-karts though. But okay, so you came from a good family then. Yeah.
I mean, not rich. My dad's upbringing was a lot different. I mean, he he grew up like in the projects, and he had a rough way to go, and he's a real success story. He's the kind of story that we actually should be celebrating in the media, rather than former drug dealers turned hip hop artists, rather than that kind of sort of cliche story. He's someone that never bent the knee to any of that kind of foolishness, and created a much better situation for his family.
So here's what I want to know, because you're very successful right now. I mean, so I want to take you back where you didn't really have much. You're a young guy. Everybody has a story similar to this. So she gets pregnant. What is her reaction once she gets pregnant by the baby daddy? What happened at that point? Did she come and tell you? Let's talk about that.
She, what, to her credit, she came right to me. She said, look, I'm really sorry about this, but, this is what happened. And, And I mean, that was the end. That was the end of the relationship. When she told me that, I was like, okay, well, I guess we're done. And honestly, it wasn't really. It's a strange thing because I really didn't have hard feelings. You know, we had been dating for only a few months, and so I was like, well, that's fine. She lived a little bit away from me anyway, and she didn't have a car or anything, so it was always I had to go and get her and come back. So I was like, you know what, that's a headache I don't need.
But let's talk about now, because I've experienced things like this, and then like once you get to that level, has she ever been able to contact you and see what you're doing now?
You know, I've had no communication with her since. I think I saw her one time. It was about when she was about ready to pop. Actually, I saw her one time since we ended it back. You know, what, 25 years ago, 23 years ago, or something like that. And I'm not aware of. I mean, I don't remember getting any messages or anything from her.
Okay.
I doubt that she'd have any incentive to do so.
So let me talk about this, because now you have moved past that, and you very successful. I'm not listening to some of your stuff, because at first I was like, who is this nigga that wants me to come onto the show? And I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. So you've been all over the world. I mean, you have fans of all different genres of music that love you, of nationalities and ethnicities. You're awesome, tenured lecturer. How do you identify as a married guy with children and probably not experiencing the things? I mean, obviously you're not experiencing the things we're experiencing in the dating market, but how do you identify with what's going on with the red pill and the dating standards that are of women and stuff? Because you're a married guy, so you seem to maybe not have those issues that some guys may have. How do you identify with this content so much?
Yeah, it's interesting because I see a lot of interesting connections and correlations between religion, in particular Christianity, and principles that are put forth, albeit in a more raw sort of sense, in the red pill. One of the things is just the reverence of the family structure. That's one of the things that you hear constantly in the red pill space. The sort of gender roles as they relate to marriage, what is going to tend to work best as far as, who's bringing in the finances and who is sort of cultivating the home. All of those kinds of concepts, those are not only sort of Christian sort of perspectives on marriage, but you hear a lot of that in the red pill. Now, another thing that's really interesting is I have still not encountered a red pill content creator, at least one that I've collaborated with, that's not pro-life. It's interesting with all of and there's a lot of different stuff that's going on in the manosphere. It's not a monolithic space,
right?
And you have anywhere from like PUAs, and folks that you could only characterize as misogynist, to folks that are just trying to level their, just trying to get their stuff together. They went through a bad breakup or had bad experiences, and they felt like, man, am I the only one having these experiences? And then encountering, discovering a community of guys that are willing to have these sort of frank conversations, and a lot of guys that are willing, to sort of, here are some approaches to deal with this problem. You're not the only one, facing this issue. And sometimes just feeling like you're not alone is its own help. But you have content on, getting your money right, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, You have interesting topics like, I mean, like even like this whole no fap thing. I don't know how else you contextualize that other than to, I mean, you'd have to connect it with some kind of spirituality, because there doesn't seem to be many reasons to to not do that unless you have a certain kind of worldview that you're at least assuming.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's some really interesting sort of connections there. And I also, there's a lot of guys that are married that are in the space. I actually, I just got married.
Yeah.
Um,
Yo, hold on, give him a round of applause. Yeah. So brother Ike got married. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but I just got married, and but I'll tell you the main reason, the two main reasons. One is I think I have something that I can offer to folks that are in search of something, and I have, I think, a positive message, and I think a lot of guys would be into that, and I think I could be of service. The other reason is I have a 7-year-old son, and I want to be aware of what's going on. And frankly, as great as my upbringing was, there is no way that any parents of my parents' age would have been able to prepare me for the kinds of experiences that I had in the dating market. And that was even before social media. It was largely before social media and dating apps and all of that. So yeah, I want to be aware of what's going on. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to, when my son asks me some questions about things, I want to be able to say, hey, here's some things you want to look out for, because in a very real way, he has a target on his back. He's black kid, because he's my kid, right?
Right.
He's got a target on his back, and frankly, most of the targeting is not from the police.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of issues that he could find himself in, and so I just want to be aware of what that stuff is.
Let me ask you this: you've been teaching at the Great Ohio State University. Shout out to our brother Justin Fields, who I believe the white man is trying to hold him back. Mel Kiper and all of them. Not Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper actually going third. But that's another story. I'm gonna do a video on that because they're trying to hate on him right now. But I'm gonna deal with them later. Do you believe, because Professor T.S. Johnson, I know you're aware of him. I don't know if you've collaborated with him. Have you?
I have. I interviewed him on my channel.
You did, right? So I've been knowing Dr. T.S. Johnson for many years, but we have just recently, and man, he can really, really swing the bat. I mean, like, you just throw him a topic, and he's like,
he's a heavy dude.
Mark McGuire in the 80s with the steroids. He just, there goes the ball. Yeah. He had basically a revelation that came to him that his students in his class, because he was teaching a black masculinity class, was more direct, obviously, but that the women expected those men to make $100,000 right then in college. All these expectations that were out of reach, other black women at Fresno State. I want you to kind of look at it in the third person. You, as Dr. Thunder, do you feel that some of the African-American male students that are either in your program or fellow musicians or in your church? So I'm giving you these different ecosystems that you can pick from here. Do you believe in your conversations with them that they feel that dating standards in dealing with other African-American women or black, and I would include anybody in the black diaspora for that matter, that they are experiencing unrealistic dating standards?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could even tell you from my own experience way back when I was in my 20s. Oh, well, actually, when I was in high school, even, there was an expectation then, for me to have, I mean, maybe not the whole bag yet, but part of the bag. And and yeah, students that I've had here, other folks that are, young folks that I know. I mean, it's a constant topic about it's hard to find. Now they exist. There are young ladies that exist that have been trained to look beyond those kinds of things, to try to look at more, what kind of person it is that you're trying to date, what their values are and that kind of thing, and trying to look more long term. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that I talk to, a lot of guys that I talk to in that age range that are having a lot of those kind of issues. And it's funny because a couple of my the graduates from here, they saw my interview with you and Donovan Sharp and and a couple others, and they were like, "Oh, who are you going to interview next? And are you going to interview AMS?" Because obviously they have been in there watching and checking this content out. They would only be checking that content out if they were having issues, right? So, yeah.
Some of them knew me.
Oh yeah.
Nigga coming up. I try to be. It's hard, but somebody got to do it. So let me ask you this, because you were the brother that brought out, brother TK, Pastor. I believe was it Coates? Is it?
Yeah, Reverend John Coates the second.
Coates, and then the other pastor from Michigan. His name was, I liked him.
Joel
cool.
Brooks.
But Pastor Brooks, right? TK. There were some other brothers that, I'm getting old, but I distinctly remember.
Yeah,
TK.
Hamilton Harden and Cedric Easton,
yeah.
and then
Cedric Easton was a good brother.
Yeah, and then soon to be Dr. Doug Pierce.
I believe he's in Nebraska, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I just like you get old, I remember faces, but not names, as the old folk used to say. I know your face, baby, but I just don't know your name. So let me ask you this, because with those brothers who are they seem like they're heavily into church, even they see that there's a problem, a big problem.
Oh
yeah. The pastor see this as a big problem. Do you think, one question I want to ask you, since you started off researching what we call is the white manosphere, and then now you're involved more in what is the black manosphere, what do you think are there any advantages to the two different spaces, and which do you feel more comfortable in?
Oh, definitely the black manosphere. And I've felt really embraced by this sphere, very supported by brothers like yourself, folks like Donovan Sharp and Solomon Jones, Ike Ogiamian, and others. In particular, the advantage is that the black sphere is not only addressing sort of like, you're having issues with women, here are some tips, here are some things that you can deal with, but the black sphere is also providing content in particular to help men that never had a relationship with their dad. And there's a disproportionate number of us that did not have that relationship. One way that I feel like I can be of service is, I think that there are, certain, aspects of discipline and organization and, stick-to-itiveness, work ethic, all of that kind of stuff that I excel in. And I think that folks, especially men that maybe weren't able to get that kind of stuff from their dad, I have a lot of content that's on those kinds of topics.
Okay, so let me ask you this: for your future subscribers, those who want to hear, and you have a new concept. I don't know if you want to talk about it right now, but when the time comes, you can always come back and we can discuss it. But we have something big in the works. All right, something that's never been done. Go ahead and tell people, if they subscribe to Dr. Thunder, what will they be getting on the Dr. Thunder YouTube channel?
So I am a musician by training, and I do want to clarify something, and that is my doctorate technically is a DMA. Now it's the same level as a PhD. It's the music version of the PhD.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trained as a musician. I am so there's a lot of music content on my channel. So there's a lot of music, live performances, gigs. There's lectures on music. So folks that are musicians, I had a series called Lesson of the Week years ago, and I also have a series called Lessons with Dr. Thunder, and those are music lessons, lots of live performance content. But then I also have my Conversations with Dr. Thunder series, and I think I'm in episode 132 or something now, and that's long form content. I've started to create some shorter clips of those videos also, and yeah, I mean, there's a variety of content on there. It's either music or it's like spicy talk and world class music,
All right, so the first comment pinned to the top, you know what to do. And again, Dr. Thunder, he's a very persistent man because he gonna make sure I do these interviews. So if I don't, he gonna call. If I don't answer the phone, he gonna email. And then I think he have like 5 devices. He will call and email at the same time, like, hey, look. And then he will send you a calendar commit. He gonna make sure that you say you're gonna be there. So anything that he gonna do, there's gonna be a Google Calendar invite. Do you accept yes or no? So he ain't playing. He expect you to be there. So I do thank you for coming on. You're very, very persistent guy. But I like that about you. And I wish more brothers were like that. And you're definitely a talented man. And you have a lot of good content. We're gonna get you some of this nigga juice up in here. I know you don't. You gotta be the doctor of music and stuff. But you keep hanging around, we're gonna bring that nigga out of you. So you just understand it's coming. So guys, thank you so much. Subscribe to The Good Doctor. He's our brother. He's been doing a good job. Him and brother Ike, have a really good conversation. Shout out to Pastor Coates. All those other brothers. Brother TK. I'm getting old. So I'll be definitely working with them. Hopefully, I'll clear all those interviews this month. So I got a lot of guys to clear. I've done almost 10 collaborations already in the month of April. So with my schedule. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Doc. Any last words today?
Yeah, thanks for what you're doing, O'Shea. One thing I think you'll detect from my content is there's a spiritual component there. I'm a family oriented, kind of person. And so that's an important sort of theme. But I talk on all kind of different topics. So I think you'll find something that you're going to be interested in. And thanks again, O'Shea, for what you're doing. Supporting content creators, smaller content creators, and doing all that you do.
Somebody has to do it. Might as well be me. Just mess with y'all, man. Thanks again, Doc, for coming through. And guys, as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.